Can I do something for introverts to take the fear of marketing away?
It looks like it's kind of like make.com, too quiet to market.
The traffic goes up from almost 0 to 2000 and something. Then you write stories about your positioning, right? This is exactly what you see here. This is a positioning diagram.
Even for me, that is sometimes too much.
If I went into Todoist now, you would see one main task with several subtasks.
This is like the most German way of doing marketing I've ever seen.
Another great episode coming up, and we are now talking about very interesting topic because we have Matthias with us from 2Quiet2Market. You also own the company named Ball Labs, right? So I'm very happy to have you here, and awesome to hear your story and how did you build the product and all that.
Thanks for the invitation, everyone. I'm glad to be here as well.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you located? What do you do? And so forth.
Yeah, my name is Matthias. I live in Germany. I founded a company in the US called Ball Labs. It's my laboratory of ideas, so to say. My background is in software engineering. I worked as a software developer for 10 years. It was already 100 years ago. I was with different companies, and then I suddenly became a consultant for software engineering methods, and I've been enjoying that for quite a long time now. I think it was 2001 when I started that one.
Nice.
And so I went freelancing, work with software teams who want to say, okay, we want to deliver good quality, but we also want to deliver on time. So all these challenges that they have.
And
so basically,
did you code were you a developer first? So you started coding and all that, and then through that, okay.
Exactly. And I keep coding. I run my own startups today, like 2Quiet2Market, for example, because it's really important to me that I stay in the code. It's not good to be some kind of helicopter consultant flying high above the code. It's not good. So and I have much fun to stay in the code. So I created several kind of startups. I encountered that challenge with marketing, and that's the reason why I created 2Quiet2Market. I think we'll speak about it in a minute.
Awesome. So, starting with the name, I don't know if you, Michael, want to jump in, but starting with the name, the thing that kind of attracted me, I saw the post on Reddit, and that's how I became curious. But it was like 2Quiet2Market. I thought it was a kind of, it's an interesting name. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit?
Also, what I want to say, when I saw the 2Quiet2Market first, obviously, when I just read it, I saw it, I didn't understand the point. But then when I went to your website, I saw that it's for the introverts. Then now it totally makes sense. Yeah, and then there's like a funny the way to play with the name. So
it's a kind of pun, right?
Yeah. It is a pun for sure.
Yeah, I thought I should choose a name that reflects who is made for, right? It reflects the audience. Introverts, lots of us who build software products, for example, we are introverts. We are used to focus on our stuff. We are really good at problem solving. What we're not so good at is talking to a lot of people at the same time. I think we as introverts, we enjoy one-on-one conversations or one-on-two like we have now.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not used to talk to the masses, right?
Yeah.
But that's the usual perception of marketing. People think, or at least solopreneurs, they think marketing is kind of the old style interruption marketing with ads and TV spots and billboards and kinds of stuff like that.
Influencer stuff.
They are a little afraid of that, and they are also not very organized in that. So I thought, can I do something for introverts to take the fear of marketing away, or to be more organized in marketing? Because if you don't do it, people don't know about what you're offering, and then you won't get any sales, of course. So marketing is important also for software solopreneurs, or for solopreneurs in general. software or not.
The way your software looks, it looks like it's kind of like make.com, or, well, more like make.com, not so much like Zapier. How the whole product works, what is the thing? You create these different kind of like wireframes, and then you connect
boards, right?
Boards, yeah. It's like a Miro and make.com, basically, the way I see it.
Yeah, it looks like a lot like Miro. I'm used to use Miro. I love that tool. So it was a little inspiration from there, colorful elements on a board, a kind of diagram. The problem that this solves is before you can start marketing, you have to think about positioning of your product. So what's your product? Who's the audience? The persona who's consuming it? What are the features of the product? What are the benefits of those features? Which jobs can you get done with it? Or can your users get done with it? And what story, finally, are you going to tell about it? So I thought, why not represent each of these concepts with a colorful block, kind of graphical element that you can connect with each other. For example, you can connect the product to its features, the features to its benefits, and so on. And finally, you arrive at a story that you can tell to the persona you're addressing. So you get this kind of diagram, and then you can write microcopy into the connectors. Like, for example, from the story to the customer persona, you write a story into that connector. Or from one benefit into the story, you write a very small kind of copy. There's a thing called Story Composer inside 2Quiet2Market that collects all these little pieces of microcopy and collects them into one larger story that you can tell on different channels like social media or a landing page or whatever, where you put that copy that you get at the end.
And is this the Blue Sky, the ad protocol, what I think you've been part of somehow? Is that connected?
No, that's
somehow?
a total. That's not connected. I'm
right.
on Blue
Okay,
Sky. I love to be there, but that's a totally different thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just because I was browsing when I was doing research about you and your company and all that, I noticed you had Blue Sky there, and then I went there because I have never heard of Blue Sky before. So then I went there and I saw the ad protocol, and then now that you told these microfeeds and all that, then I was thinking that, are you actually combining the ad protocol there, or what's the deal? But okay, so it's separate
No,
stuff.
I'm combining it with other things, like, for example, with Todoist, the to-do list manager.
Right.
When I into Quiet2Market, I have a thing called marketing experiment. You take a story, you tell it on the channel, and you measure the impact. So that makes an experiment. And these experiments can be broken down automatically into task lists, right? So Todoist is a task list management system, and into Quiet2Market, I'm interfacing with it so that you can automatically get your tasks split up, and so you won't forget about your marketing efforts.
Would you say that a good way to describe the product is that it's basically a way for you to do marketing in a more systematic approach that is more, feels more comfortable for software developers, for solo entrepreneurs, and so forth? It creates some sort of structure, right, and some sort of process that is just like easier to comprehend and feels less chaotic, maybe, because marketing seems to be, well, it's very different compared to software development. Software development is very much systematic and it's like it's problem solving. And in marketing, in many cases, it's like basically shooting in the dark. Like you don't really know what will happen. You don't know what kind of results are you expecting. There is, it's like very few companies actually take the systematic approach.
Yeah, what I want to also, Artem, you're absolutely right. I was just talking about this just like an hour before with my intern, and we were talking about now everything goes so fast and everything is developing so fast that even like, especially in marketing, what was the case 5 or 8 years ago, where you were able to do one thing systematically over time, like year or 2 or 3. Now everything seems to change within months, and
sometimes days.
It's even exactly. Even for I am, as an ADHD person, I love change. So for me, it's pretty good. But even for me, that is sometimes too much, and I don't know where we're going. So maybe
Yeah.
this tool helps to get these things more systematic.
It's such a big problem for solopreneurs, like, for example, writers or photographers or musicians who want to sell their music and so on. So it's so problematic, for example, when they have been creating and building for some time and they get back to marketing. Let's say it's Sunday and they say, okay, I have to do some marketing today. They say, oh, what did I want to write about last time? What was the story I was going to tell? What was the transformation that the customer will experience when they use my product? Oh my God. So they suddenly lose their structure. And because it's such a big change between marketing and the main thing they are doing, like, for example, taking good photos or composing music. So that's a big change. And I wanted to create some structure where they have a strong guidance. This is my product, these are the features, and this is the story I want to tell, and so on. So when they get back to marketing, they exactly continue where they left off last time.
I think it'll be awesome if we could see the product, if maybe you could do a short demo, because now it's maybe hard to visualize in one's head how the product works.
Sure.
And is it like a task board, or is it like a brainstorming board, or is it a list of processes? I think
exactly.
I think it'll be awesome if you could show it to us.
And while you are sharing the screen, your these subscription models, you say that you can plan and run marketing experiments. So can you connect your Google Ads or Meta or some other platforms there, and it runs from there? So it's not
yet live, but I'm working on that. It has just begun to work. I've made two connectors, one to Google Analytics 4 and one for plausible analytics, more privacy focused.
Right. Yeah.
And the data is pulled in, so you get the page views and the active users on your site, and you can compare that with your marketing efforts. For example, when you make an experiment, you make a quick log entry into the journal of your project, and you say, okay, today I did this or that. And for example, if traffic goes up, you can later correlate, oh, this was the day when I did X, and then traffic went up as a result of that.
Are you also, because, well, you are based in Germany, so Zing is a big thing there. So are you able to connect that there as well, or are you planning to put it there?
No, not yet. At first, I'm trying to make a kind of workflow for marketing, right? You start with some kind of social listening, for example, like Reddit or like Twitter or whatever. And then you create a project, you position your stuff. I can show you this in a minute here live on the board. Then you write stories about your positioning, right? Not about the positioning, but about the product and its features and its benefits and so on. And then you run experiments. So I want to first get this cycle going and then make more connectors to the rest. Okay, so let's have a look, right? Okay. So, yeah. These are my projects here in the 2Quiet2Market system. I've got 6 of them. Let's take 2Quiet2Market itself, for example, for marketing it. This project contains several boards that focus on certain aspects of marketing. For example, this board focuses on positioning, this focuses on messaging, this focuses on experimentation. Let's look at the positioning board first. This is the simplest one. Just let me zoom here a little bit. So here we have 2Quiet2Market as a product, and it has one feature called the positioning diagram. It is exactly what you see here. This is a positioning diagram. And what does it do? So it gets one job done. The blue color here you see on the right, it means job to be done. So for example, one job that my customers need to get done is get their initial positioning right. Positioning is this art of deliberately defining why you are so good or what's so good about your product, right? So yeah, they do their positioning, It's also a huge time saver. That is the quality of this diagram, and it brings clarity. Clarity is the benefit of this feature, the positioning diagram. So what do we do with these three things? We go into a story. It says dump your brain, then get your positioning sorted. That's the initial brainstorming exercise. And this goes into another story that says build a launch pad for your marketing. And finally, who do we tell this story to? It's the introverted solopreneur. So that's basically how such a diagram works, how such a board works. I think I could show a brief exercise on an empty project. Let's create an empty project. So do you have a product which you would like to market?
We haven't launched it yet, but it's called Omful, OMFUL.io, and that's a meditation app what we've been now building. It's like AI based. It's pretty good stuff. So we can use that because now it's still in the making, and we are now building its marketing funnels and the plan.
Okay, so I'm creating a board called Initial Position, just a demo for Omful. Okay, like this. And I would say, okay, who's your persona? Who am I making it for? What did you say?
In general, if you're talking about the ICP, the ideal customer profile, we've now decided the way we see it, it's gonna be 20, 30 years. Like, let's actually 25 to 35-year-olds, people working in offices, have most likely bachelor or higher degree, basically living like very busy lifestyle, very exhausted from their work, and they are very also native so that they can actually use apps. They usually like try to solve their problems using apps and Google and all that stuff. So yeah, and also they want to save a little bit of money, not in a way that it's cheaper per se, but it's a little bit cheaper, but more that it's just convenient. You don't have to overpay for stuff, and you can modify your experience. So that's basically the ICP there.
Take a note of that. US based.
You could say that they are heavy social media users, feel overwhelmed.
Okay.
They are probably they are probably young in a sense that they probably used to already installing apps and just like using apps, and maybe even they already have some sort of similar apps that they have used, so they're familiar with the concept. Maybe not meditation, but maybe they have some like relaxing apps or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Arthur, have I told you this before?
Of course, about the project. You've told me something like very quickly.
All right. Yeah. Well, I was just like, you got the point really fast.
Well,
from this chaotic explanation what I just gave, and you just rewrote the whole stuff.
Also,
like, oh shit, I have to take down the
some
notes.
Yeah, but we've been doing this for quite some time, and I already know you. So
yeah, I keep telling you all my stuff immediately when I invent them. So yeah, that doesn't come as a surprise. I've already told you about this one. Yeah, that's true. Well, very well.
So I've made a quick drawing here, like Omful with a meditation app that you see here. It's a feature. It serves for solving two jobs here. For example, solve my personal problems and get over my overwhelm. And then who does that? The 25-year-old stressed out person, US based. What would be let's say some benefits of the meditation app? What would they get from it?
Like, do you mean meditation in general, or using it as an app?
Using the product,
no, using
probably.
the app.
Using the product.
Right. Well, that you can get guided meditations the way you want, whenever you want, as long as you need. Basically, it's always the point is that you can choose your instructor, whether it's a male or a female voice. You can choose if there's going to be binaural beats or if it's going to be quiet and all that. So you can really customize your experience, because me as a male, I usually actually tend to listen male guided meditations because I do meditations quite a lot. But then my wife, she said that she's a little annoyed because most of the meditation apps, they usually have male voices and you can customize them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's true. And now that we are using AI to build these, all this, like the voice and the scripts and everything, now the user can actually they can just modify their experience, customize the whole set so that it really feels you. And now that you can use it everywhere, because your work is coming from your phone, you can work whenever you want, wherever you want, and that's also a problem. But then you can also get a relief from your phone using these kind of apps. So I would say that is the main benefit. And also right now, the meditation app scene is very crowded in a way that there's a lot of
competition
already.
Right?
Yeah, but they're also raising the prices all the time. So that's why, because we are generating them, we're using AI, but also professionals to come by them. Now we can give more quality and more everything with fraction of the price. So now people don't have to spend hundreds a year to meditate with their phone.
So if I was going to pitch the product the way that I would describe it, I would say, imagine if you could have your favorite meditation instructor always with you, that knows what you want, what do you like, what you don't like, but most importantly, it's always attuned to how you feel. So depending on the day, situation, stress, you will get exactly what you're looking for. Hyper personalized meditation experience that is attuned to what you're seeking in that specific moment. Relaxation, getting relief of anxiety, and so forth. And most importantly, the more you use it, the more the application will know your habits. So basically, by investing time, you will personalize it even further. So it will truly be yours.
Okay.
Eventually.
Eventually.
No, like, shit, I have to write these features down because the current version is, well, I mean, like, there's some of that, but
but remember, MVP is never, is not never, full of features.
Never,
but I think you should have a vision where you're going, though.
Very true. Yeah. That is exactly true, and that's how it's gonna be. The MVP part is, well, there's actually already some parts of that too. So yeah,
that's exactly the right keyword here, the vision. So this board here is trying to capture the vision of your positioning, right? What are the things you are providing? What are the benefits of those? How would this persona here on the right, how would they react to that? What do they what problems do they solve, and so on? So
they don't want to kill themselves.
What's missing?
I would say that would never be the thing.
So what's missing here is the story, because this is the interesting thing. For example, I delete those two connections here again, and I let these jobs run into a story, and then you tell the story to the persona. Now that's the initial positioning step. Now comes the messaging step. Now, for example, if I double click here on the product, you see a script editor opens over here.
Oh, Markdown, nice.
Yeah, it's Markdown language. I could say, okay, what's the definition of OMFUL?
It's a markup
language. Can you give me one sentence?
Right.
Yeah, a markup language. For example, you can write, this is a headline. I write with
yeah, I'm like that. Okay, so that's the basic sign. HTML stuff. Yeah, got it. And two hashtags is sub. Yeah.
It's like a simpler like version of HTML.
Yeah.
Very true.
So give me a short definition of OMFUL. What is OMFUL?
Basically, it's just an innovative mindfulness and guided meditation app tailored to suit the needs of today's fast-paced world.
Innovative.
If
What
I
did
had
you
a
say?
crack at it, I would say
Absolutely.
AI-powered, hyper-personalized meditation app for meditating on the go or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't matter.
Let's stay pretty factual and boring here. Let's try a very boring copy.
Boring is good. Boring is good.
Meditation app, or let's say
Yeah,
innovative
like AI-powered meditation
AI-based.
app. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when I now double click on meditation app, you will see that Omful, the product with its microcopy, is coming in from the left. And then I can say, okay, a meditation app, what is it? Guides your meditation sessions. And for example, you can include
you can
here,
like customize your guided meditation sessions.
Or like that, customize
your guided meditation sessions.
Guided meditation sessions like that.
Yep.
And here there's an interesting feature. When I write two opening curly braces, that's kind of an include merge tag like you find in email marketing systems, for example. And you could say product one, that's the thing coming in from the left here, product one. And I can include the name or the text. Let's say when I include the name, you see that Omful on the right. Or if I include the text, you see the innovative AI-powered meditation app is coming in. So this is the way to include and build larger and larger copy. So when you reach the right here, and the story is complete, this one here, you can tell it. For example, when I go here, there's nothing in there, right? It's still empty. I could say spice it up. This would invoke an AI like ChatGPT something.
ChatGPT, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not ready yet, or
yeah, it's ready.
You have to become a client.
Yeah, I have to pay $49.
You have to pay for your own app. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's tough.
Or I could say copy as Markdown, copy as HTML, or most interesting, this one, use in a new experiment. Right? I could start some experiment like, it says unnamed story because it copies from the diagram. I could say, okay, where would I find the inputs, the outputs, and the tools to run that experiment? And these come from the bookmarks section. You see, I have added links to all my marketing channels, my marketing material, where I can find it, places I visit, or the places that my customers visit, and the tools I use for marketing. So I have all my links here. And then when I say create new experiment, I can say, okay, good, let's take some input from my blog. The output goes to Reddit. The tools that I use are Beacon, for example, kind of lead magnet generator system. And here I can say, okay, first read blog post X. Second, write Reddit post. And third one is use Beacon to make a nice PDF for download.
If I can just jump in, and hopefully you don't get offended, but this is like the most German way of doing marketing I've ever seen, like ever, ever.
True.
And I say it with love and admiration, because this seems to be like so, systematic. But please continue, Matthias. I just wanted to make that remark.
That is true.
Exactly. Yeah, we Germans, we are good at planning and structuring.
You are
things.
definitely good. Yeah. Please continue. Yeah.
When I posted this on AppSumo these days, I run a campaign on AppSumo now.
Yeah.
And I got one feedback. The person said, this product seems rigid. So I guess that's what they mean by rigid.
Yeah. It's just another word for German-like.
Okay, so I added this experiment for Omful. Now I could say, what are the tasks that I need to do to run that experiment. So here's where to get the input, where to put the story, the tools to use, the recipe again, and the story you tell. It says your story has no copy yet. So if I had added it in the diagram, in the board, then you would see it here. And the final step is add as tasks to Todoist. So if I click here, it says working with Todoist. And it says, wonderful, added an experiment with several subtasks to Todoist. Click to close me. Okay. If I went into Todoist now, you would see one main task with several subtasks that represent this experiment. So that makes sure that you never forget about what you wanted to do in your marketing, because you can prioritize it against all the other tasks you have in Todoist. Todoist has a pretty generous free plan. You can run 5 projects at the same time using task management there. So yeah, it's a good fit here for an integration with 2Quiet2Market. So that's it basically. Next thing I'm adding is connecting to Google Analytics and to Plausible. It already runs in my machine, but it's not yet published. And then, I can show you something, I think. This is really new. I never showed it to anybody.
Excited. You saw it first here.
Yeah, exactly. This is the traffic on my site. There's active users, so visitors. And what I also inserted are these project journal entries. So I marked some important dates, like, Dagobert was so nice to tweet something about me, or Lisa posted on Indie Hackers, or I posted on Hacker News. And I give the date here. There's a formatting problem in the date. And you see suddenly here in the traffic curve, post on Hacker News, the traffic goes up from almost 0 to 2,000 and something, right? Okay. So 200 users came when I posted to Hacker News. So this is how you can correlate what you do in marketing versus what you earn in traffic, for example.
This is a good one. Yeah. Because this listening software usually cost a lot.
Yeah. It's difficult. I didn't find any really good system who does this correlation. And I want to work on that even more. What I also want to add is social listening. Like, for example, I want to add an AI that listens to Reddit and finds interesting questions that my audience is asking. For example, when an introvert says, I'm overwhelmed by marketing, how do I do that? The AI could find that and then could react to that, and I could immediately answer something from my existing copy.
That would be very, very convenient. Yeah, absolutely. The closest right now is, I think, Meltwater, but Meltwater is extremely expensive. So, you have to pay like $700 a month. But that is the closest. Oh yeah, that is quite much. But I think that's the closest. So in a way, if you can get that working out, then you have a pretty solid, good product.
The way that we actually do this now inside my company is that we have a Google spreadsheet. I wish I could show it to you, but it has customer data. But we have Google spreadsheet where we, put all the tasks that were done, experiments, and so forth. There is short description, date, category, and comment section. And then we bring that data, we import it into Google Data Studio, also now known as Google Looker Studio, and we overlay those actions on the information we get from Google Search Console, from Google Analytics, and so forth. It works surprisingly well, and it's a kind of homebrew solution, if you could say that. But and obviously it's a free solution, right? So that's the good part about it. But yeah, that's how we solved it. And before, in Google Analytics 3, we used to use annotations. If you know annotations in Google Analytics 3, you can actually create annotation for any day. So for example, you could say like, hey, today we changed the marketing budget for Google AdWords, and you could put it as annotation, and then on every single chart in Google Analytics, you would see the annotation. So you could kind of guess, what was the reason for the potentially like traffic drop or spike or whatever. But the problem is annotations on like as a feature is not available anymore in Google Analytics 4. So we had to, create a kind of like a homemade solution for that. But it's wonderful that you have something that is very simple, very visual, and maybe in future you could actually choose different metrics, because sometimes active users is not the thing that you want to track. Maybe you want to track conversion rate, or you want to track if it's an e-commerce store. Maybe you want to track, average conversion value, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
or sales volume or whatever.
Yeah. Different KPI metrics. But one thing that I kind of, I heard you mention it 2 times already during our conversation. You mentioned plausible analytics, and I know that it's a pretty popular product in Germany, right? Because it's a privacy-focused version of the Google Analytics, right? So can you tell a little bit about, like, I'm just curious, how, for example, in Germany, digital marketers are approaching analytics. It seems to be that the focus on privacy seems to be ever growing.
Yeah, it's a big problem for marketers, because the EU and also California in the meantime, by the way, they are very much into privacy now. They say for example, if you set a cookie, that is called personally identifiable information, PII. And they say as soon as you create PII, you have to ask your users for permission. For example, a cookie needs a permission. Even if you store the IP address, okay, that's also PII. So you have to ask for permission, etc., etc. So you can do almost nothing without permission now. And so what the new analytics tools like GA4 or Plausible, what they are doing, they don't set cookies anymore. They do some other methods like fingerprinting. Fingerprinting is also PII, by the way. It's very tricky here. So they do kinds of things like, for example, Plausible, they aggregate immediately. You don't get any data about a particular visitor anymore. You can't track one person across your website anymore. So funnels can only be built on many people at a time, not on one person at a time. So what they are trying to avoid is creating PII. And there are a number of tools like this in the meantime, like Fathom Analytics, like, I don't know, there are several of these. And they are all working more or less the same way, tracking a bunch of users instead of one single user. In Germany here, I think we are a little perfectionist about it, right? When the EU says something, we always want to be the perfectionist.
I think Finland tries, but when it comes to GDPR, I think a lot of companies just give up. They're like forget about it. Like, it's too hard, too complex, and so forth. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think from the perspective of your product, I think another question that I have is, like, do you actually do the software building part yourself, or are you outsourcing? Like, how did it come to be the product? So you had this idea, you're like, cool. And by the way, thank you very much for demoing the product. I think it was really insightful. So like, once you got an idea, like what happened next? Like, did you just like a mad scientist just rush to your computer and just started doing this on the keyboard, or like, what happened next?
It was my, let's say, 5th product. Yeah, the other 4 have failed. And so the first thing I did, I said, I want to do it differently this time. This thing has to be successful. So what do I have to do? First, I have to check whether there's real demand. So I went ahead and created a landing page, very simple, on card.co. And with a sign-up form, an email sign-up form, email list behind it in ConvertKit. And I tried to get sign-ups there. Yeah, that was the first thing I did. And suddenly 120 people signed up. And I said, wow, okay, that's the best thing I ever had, because I never had it before, in this kind of demand. And then I shared more about it on Twitter. And people said, "Oh, this is something, marketing for introverts. Yes, I'm an introvert. Yes, I know that problem," and so on. So I also got good feedback on Twitter. And then I built an MVP within a week or so and recorded a video about it and put it out there. And suddenly people said, "Yeah, wow, that could work. That's interesting." And I talked about the typical problems like having fear or having no structure or falling out of the marketing habit. That's the biggest danger, by the way. Many people start with good intentions and lots of energy, but after the 3 weeks, they put it aside. So that's also a challenge for my product, by the way. I need some kind of gamification algorithm inside to keep people engaged with marketing. That's the biggest problem right now. So yeah, the first step was I made this MVP, put it out there, and people said, "Okay, this looks good." And then I made a small first version. It could simply make these diagrams, and that was it. So there was even no text editor in it, and no experiments and nothing. And then I added feature after feature. Like first I added these text editors, then the experiments, then the larger storytelling stuff, and then the AI. And at the moment I'm working on the analytics stuff.
Awesome. So what is your, and I know this might not be interesting for everybody, but it's interesting for me. So what is your tech stack?
The tech stack, yeah, it's running on AWS Lambda functions.
Oh, awesome.
Serverless functions. And the code is mostly, all the code is written in TypeScript. So the server side runs on TypeScript. Also the front end with React on TypeScript. And on the front end, I'm using React with CSS, like Tailwind. That's basically the tech stack. So it scales well. If suddenly there's a spike of users, the Lambda functions will scale up. I don't need to do anything for that. AWS does that.
Yeah, and I think like maybe, especially in the beginning, you don't even cross the threshold for the, free functions, right? Like free quota that you get in Lambda.
Yeah.
I think it's very generous. So especially in the beginning when you're just starting out, I think it's pretty awesome. I think your kind of like user interface is very, very snappy, and I think it's very interactive. I like it, like the board especially. I think it was really interesting. How did you create the board? Is it like a canvas or is it something ready-made in React? I'm just wondering because I think it's pretty snappy with the connectors and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this, by the way, because it's kind of a trade secret for me. But yeah, I'm using all kinds.
But is it something you build is it something you build yourself, or is it a mix of something that you found?
It's a mixture.
Okay.
I'm using a lot of libraries from the net. Sometimes I buy stuff, and sometimes I write stuff myself for things that I can't get.
That's wonderful. So as a person who starts multiple businesses, and I just in general just love the whole serial entrepreneurial kind of life, and I'm working on multiple SaaS projects as of now. So what I did is I went to AppSumo and purchased the code, and I even already, while we were talking, I even redeemed the code already. So I'm looking forward to using it in my projects to kind of bring some, to make my projects a little bit more German, as a compliment, to make them, to make marketing maybe less chaotic. But one feature that I noticed was maybe, I don't know, maybe it's missing, maybe I didn't see it. But if I'm not solo anymore, like in my case, I have a team. So is it that the product is not good fit for me anymore, or like can I share boards? Can I invite people? Like how does that work?
I can quickly show you that. You can see it right on the screen. If you go on a project, you see here on the right there you've got share. If I click on that, it says, okay, what does the other person need to do? Should they be able to view your project, or should they view and edit your project? So you can switch this and then say, for example, share via email, and the email editor will go up. Or you say copy project link, and now in the clipboard there's a link. You can paste it into an email message or into a Telegram message or whatever,
Slack,
to invite your colleagues, or Slack or whatever you're using.
Yeah, of course.
And then the people will get an invitation, and they will be added to your project as users.
And there is no additional cost for me as a as a user of your product. Like, there is no additional cost per user or anything like that.
There's a difference. The viewers are free, so you can invite as many viewers as you want, and the editors have to be paid users. So, for example, if you have a small team of 5 people or so, you buy 5 codes in AppSumo right now, and you are all editors on the same project, for example. But be careful. If you modify a diagram, it's currently so that it writes back the entire diagram contents at once. So if 2 people are doing that, they are overwriting each other's content. So be careful. Only one person should work on a diagram at a time.
Okay, for now, there is no collaborative editing as of yet.
That's it. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. Well, that's awesome. Time really flies by. Mikael, do you have any questions before we start wrapping up?
I don't have a question, but I have a tip, because obviously your product is directed to introverts who want to do marketing, but it's just a struggle. So I've been one of our clients is called TradeSpotter. And TradeSpotter is a company that helps you to find extroverts and introverts from email list person. Basically, they are using AI. If I remember right, they have their own automation tool that goes through their social media feeds and all that, and decides from there whether the prospect is introvert or extrovert. So what I'm just thinking is that in your case, using TradeSpotter would be pretty good idea, just because then you can better find your prospects in a way. When you're getting bigger email lists, or do you want to contact somebody, then beforehand that they are most likely introverts, and then you can just present your product to them, and most likely they are happy to respond.
Cool. Sounds good. Trade written with AIT, right? Not with
TradeSpotter.
AD.
No, it's
not
TradeSpotter.
trading, but
TRAE.
trade.
Like trades, human trades.
Yeah.
I've sent it to you guys in chat here.
TradeSpotter.
So you can see it. You can see it in the chat. I think it's easier. I also when I googled, when I googled it for the first time, it wasn't really obvious right away. But it's TradeSpotter.
TradeSpotter.com.
.com. Yeah, for sure.
It's a Finnish company, but they also operate in Germany actually. So one of the co-founders live in Frankfurt. I think he's been living there more than 10, 15 years at least.
Wow. Thanks for the tip. I will definitely have a look at that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
And so just so that we can start wrapping up a little bit. So, just a few questions, at what stage are you now? So, do you think you found your market fit and now you're trying to scale up? That will be interesting. Or at what stage are you now currently?
It's interesting. I'm at a stage where I get initial traction, but I'm not really sure what my market really is, because how should I say that? The introverted solopreneur, it's a really good persona. It really resonates, but I don't know yet whether these people are able to spend money, and how many of those people are out there who want to spend money on that. There are some who say, yeah, take my money, no problem. If I get only one customer, it pays for itself. So these are the business people. They know what they're doing. But there are also many, especially on AppSumo these days, they who simply want to save money, right? And they are not really able to spend. So I created a free version and a paid version for this purpose, so that they can do one project in the free version and then move to the paid one. The other thing is agencies are coming up and asking me, hey, does this product work for us as an agency? And that's why I added this sharing feature. And this could also be an interesting market because agencies might not have this introversion problem, but they might have the organization problem. So maybe I can move up market. I don't know.
That is I think agency plan is excellent idea, especially in this sort of SaaS businesses. Agencies would be most likely your best resellers as well. So you can either do the agency plan where the agency just pays, or then just make a deal that they can sell your product with a little discount and they can make a little bit of money, but also the client gets a little bit. So maybe open a partner stack program for you, so then you can make this affiliate.
I already have that. I've already
excellent.
got an affiliate
Fantastic.
program. You find it on the dashboard. Yeah.
Very good.
I
Very
saw
good.
that. I saw that. I was surprised that how quickly you created an affiliate program.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I was using Lemon Squeezy for that. It's my payment provider, and they also offer an easy way to create affiliate programs. So that works already.
Smart. Yeah, exactly. And I think the $25 a month, it's not bad. I think it's really good. So I'm not thinking that it's gonna be at least a money problem, even for the solopreneurs.
If I can add my 5 cents, so I would do 2 things, in my opinion, that would make the product very valuable. So if you think about it from the perspective of a solo entrepreneur, right, the person who probably doesn't know too much about marketing and so forth, I think the product needs to be somehow combined with some of the educational stuff. So imagine, for example, you click on a feature on the board, or you click on a story, and then there is a small YouTube video that could pop up, and there is you, Matthias, explaining like, hey, in this field, you should input this and this information about your business, blah, blah, blah. So I think that would be very useful for the person, because it would kind of educate them as they go. Later on, they can just click, don't show it to me again. But in the beginning, I think solo entrepreneurs would feel a bit overwhelmed maybe if they're not familiar with the terminology and so forth. So basically, combining it with passively educating the person on how to do marketing, I think would make a lot of sense. And then second feature that I think is rather easy to do, it seems like if you already work with TypeScript, Lambda, I think you're pretty much very senior when it comes to software development. So one thing what I would do is I would start creating integrations with very popular platforms such as Google Ads, Google Search Console, and so forth. And I would start to pull data from there automatically and show it in the dashboard, so that, that way the entrepreneur or the person responsible for marketing, they could see so our SEO, went up, and it coincides with the, story that was written about us or something like that. I think because many times, especially if you're doing marketing alone, you get overwhelmed with information, right, from different sources. So I think that would be pretty useful, because it would allow you to kind of see the anomalies and then tie it to the experiments you made maybe. So I think that would be very, very beneficial. Google Ads, for example, there is change history, so you can just pull through API change history and overlay it, so you could see everything that is happening. In my opinion, the easiest and probably the lowest hanging fruit for you is just to combine it with education, because I think you're really good on camera. I think you're very concise, you're very straight to the point, and I think you appeal to the audience you are trying to reach. You are not running around and you gotta do this, let's hit it, let's do this, this whole rah and this marketing stuff. you're very calm, very, relaxed. And I think that would appeal to your target audience. They want somebody like you would become like their sort of like virtual mentor for their journey to do marketing.
Interesting point
Very
that you
true.
say that. I've already experimented with a YouTube channel. You can find the Reluctant Marketer. That's the name of the channel. And I've produced
Awesome.
some videos about how to do positioning or how to do messaging and so on. So I'm experimenting with that. Good point. I could integrate it into the product. You will also find demo videos on the dashboard. You can click on these interactive demos.
Yeah, I saw
that you
them.
see there.
I think it was click demos. Yeah, that's how you
Click
named
demos.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you
yeah.
can see how to do various things, but and really a personal video would even be better. Yeah, thanks for the tip. Thank you.
No problem. I think it just, I think you're good on camera, and I think it definitely would help, especially in the beginning when, people haven't seen products like this, in my opinion. So it kind of takes a little bit of time to kind of understand like what's going on and what I should do, because like your product makes you adhere to a specific process. And I think like that's why people say like, oh, it's rigid or it's too constrained or something. It's not really. It just has, it's opinionated. Let's say, it's opinionated. It wants to do things in a different way, but there's nothing wrong with that as long as you understand how it works. Well, Matthias, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for spending this hour with us. Much appreciated. I hope your product will become successful. And you mentioned this is your fourth, or was it fifth product?
Fifth product, yeah.
Fifth
or
product.
Even sixth? I don't know.
Well, you know what they say. Fifth time's the charm, right? So hopefully this will be the one that you can really be proud of. And, I already purchased the deal on AppSumo. So if you're watching this video, check out the deal at AppSumo. It's really, really good. And thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck with your project. And it's been truly a pleasure. Thank you, Matthias.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I just subbed your YouTube channel. So you got a
cool.
new subscriber.
That's cool.
So
Another subscriber.
Thank you very much. It was
thank
you,
Artem, and thank you, Michael. It was really it was a nice chat. I really enjoyed it to have a little circle of people who care for marketing. Nice. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, we're out. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.